Hey, this is Buck Dharma of Blue Oyster Cult, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Welcome to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. Today's show is brought to you by UppercutChops.com. Check out their tasty selection of all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Angus and Wagyu steaks and chops. Wait till you taste their best-in-class New York steaks, the filet mignon, and of course the king of all those gigantic cowboy cut and tomahawk cut ribeyes. Best I've ever had, probably be the best you ever have as well. Check them out at UppercutChops.com. That's UppercutChops.com, or give them a call, find out what's for dinner, 714-948-0100, 714-948-0100, again, 714-948-0100 for UppercutChops.com. All right, a big welcome in everybody listening in on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates and independents from coast to coast. Everybody watching on Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, Oceanic, Time Warner, Spectrum, Wild, Charter, and independent cable affiliates where applicable, as well as hotel TV in about 500,000 rooms. Same, we're applicable. Also, a big hello to our friends on Chicago Food Favorites. And that is a fun group on Facebook. Talk about your favorite foods, your favorite restaurants, your favorite recipes. Make some friends. Have some fun. Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. Now, our friends over at Vacation Buddies want to give you a couple of nights right here in Las Vegas or Orlando, Florida, or Branson, Missouri, if you know the answer to a very simple trivia question. If you know the answer, call the phone number right afterwards that I'm going to give, and then pick up your free nights in Las Vegas, Orlando, or Branson, Missouri. Here's the question. Which of these 4 NBA superstars won 6 NBA titles? Is it A, Magic Johnson, B, Shaquille O'Neal, C, Larry Bird, or D, Michael Jordan? If you know the answer, call 888-576-5777, 888-576-5777. Again, 888-576-5777. Vacation Buddies is not affiliated with the station, but they want to give you a couple of nights right here in Vegas, Orlando, or in Branson, Missouri, if you know the answer to that very simple trivia question. If so, call 888-576-5777. Call now. All right. We're going to have to take a real close look here of what's going on in the National Football League. Some call it the No Fun League. Some call it the National Fixed League, whatever it is. I mean, there's all kinds of fun names for it right now. But because it sure seems like some of these games have been compromised. But let's not go there right now. I just want to give everybody a quick update of where we're at. Now, look, we're about 13 games in the season. And let's face it, there's just a handful of games left. And these divisions have really taken shape at this point. The NFC East, a precarious, and I'm going to say precarious, 1.5 game lead over the Dallas Cowboys. Remember, the Dallas Cowboys, like Green Bay, they've got that tie, which gives them a little bit of an edge in some cases because it doesn't count as a loss. So they are 8-5, and they've got themselves a 1.5 game lead in the grand scheme of things over the Dallas Cowboys. And that lead, I would say, is a little precarious, but then again, remember, what are we talking about? This is the NFC East, and it just seems like nobody really wants to win this one. And as you look at the Eagles, you say, boy, they've been playing pretty crappy. They've lost their last 3 games. And they look mortal. They look human. They look like they certainly can be beat, and they have been beat. Or they have been beat. How do you like that one? No, I'm not going to fix it in the mix. I'm going to leave it out there. The Cowboys somehow are competing with a highly questionable defense. I mean, look, if you look at points for, points against, nobody stands out in this division. It's the Eagles at 289 points for, 271 points against. I mean, really, 18 points in 13 games? The Eagles are not setting the world afire. Look at the Cowboys. They're actually 5 points to the negative, 381 in points for, and 386 points against. Now, that 386, here's a heavy dose of reality, folks. That is the worst defense in the entire NFC. That's right, in the entire NFC. In fact, let's take a quick look for the AFC. So what was it, 386? In the AFC, I would only think only one team would be worse. Yep, and I've got it. That was the hapless, hopeless Cincinnati Bungles. However, so it's the Cowboys with the worst defense in the NFC, and frankly, they don't deserve to win a title or win the conference, let alone anything else. But I'm going to say it like that anyway, because honestly, everybody else has a better defense, and I don't care what Dallas has done lately. I have to look at who the competition is. I mean, remember, Jaden Daniel has been injured. He hasn't been playing, and Washington is in a death spiral. They've lost their last 8 games. And right behind them, of course, the Giants, who are in last place, and you can call them the New Jersey Giants. Really, they're the New York Giants, but they play in New Jersey. Nonetheless, those guys are 2-11, and the Giants have lost their last 7 games. So at one point, people had thought at the beginning of the season or early in the season that Washington was going to compete with Philadelphia potentially to win the NFC East. Well, all we've seen is a division where nobody really wants to win over there. Now, in the NFC North, we have seen the best football, arguably. Well, I wouldn't say that really, because right now the NFC West has the best records across the board. And look, the NFC North is hyper competitive at this point. And you've got a very good defense up in Wisconsin, up on the bay there. Those guys have scored 322. They've given up only 247, and they have a half a game lead on the Bears. But they do play each other again, not this week, but next week. And this one's going to be at Soldier Field. The Bears lost in a last-second interception last week's game, but guess what? Right on their heels is Detroit. They're 1 game behind the Bears, and they're a game and a half out of first. So you got 3 teams in a logjam. And hey, let's face it, right now, the Minnesota Vikings are not out of it. Not yet. No, because they're 5-8, and the leader is 9-3-1. So the reality is they're 3.5 games out of first, and they still have 4 games left. So mathematically, they are still alive. And the Vikings, remember, their quarterback was injured as well. And so they have J.J. McCarthy back, and anything can happen over there in that NFC North. Now, in the South, you've got 2 teams running away with it at this point. Now, nobody's running away with anything, but what I'm looking at here is the Buccaneers just don't seem to want it. They can't beat Atlanta. Atlanta just goes into their house and beats them there. Bijan Robinson's running all over the field. He's one of those guys, man. This guy is good. You better get a rookie football card of his. But it's the Carolina Panthers in first place. I mean, who the heck would have suspected that? Think about that. Let's go to their roster. As you look at the Carolina Panthers, you say, all right, now we know they've got some pretty good players on their team. We know that. But what we don't really know, never mind the roster, what we don't really know is what are they capable of? We know they're capable of big plays, but we also know that even in their first place, they have scored 50 less points than they've given up, yet they remain above 500. So that tells you how weird the NFC South is. And if a team on top, so here's an interesting thing. You look at that, 247 points for, 297 points against. Buccaneers, they're 7-7. 327 points for, 354 against. So really it comes down to Carolina having a better defense by just about 5 points a game, thereabouts. And that's enough to change anything in the NFL. And 2 games behind them are the Atlanta Falcons, and they are 281 and 341. So this is the worst division in the NFC, and that's by far. These guys collectively are a very questionable group. Now, it's very different when you look at the NFC West because you got 3 really good football teams there, and even their last place team is good. I would argue still the NFC West is the best division of football in the NFC anyway. With the Rams and Seahawks both 10-3, tiebreaker right now going to the Rams. And the Rams have won their last one, but Seattle and San Francisco sits 1 game behind them, and they've won their last 3 games. Now, the Bears in a couple of weeks will have San Francisco. So not this week, not next week, but right after the Green Bay game, the Bears have to travel to Santa Clara to play the 49ers, and that will not be an easy task. San Francisco is just as good as Seattle, in my opinion. And if they're healthy, remember, they were missing their quarterback for a long time. Brock Purdy's back. The team is back. Jennings is back. You've got players there that can make big plays. Seattle is rock solid. The Rams are rock solid. Any one of those 3 teams can win the division, but I would almost argue that those 3 teams will probably make the playoffs. Only one team, I think, from the NFC North at this point is going to do it, and it's going to be the division winner, unless somehow the second-place team will keep pace with at least the 49ers. And that would mean if it is the Bears are going to have to beat the 49ers head-to-head. All right, back here with the AFC in just a few moments. Lots more to come here on the Sports Circus. Don't go anywhere.
Attention business owners, you and your customers are listening to this right now. Face it, every business needs customers, even yours. The Sports Circus is a primetime nationally syndicated program that's carried on ABC, NBC, CNBC, and Westwood One News affiliates, plus CBS, Fox, and NBC Sports affiliates across North America, with coverage from Hawaii to New York. Also, the Sports Circus is available to the 180 million subscribers on iHeartRadio, and the Sports Circus gets about 4 million website visitors per month, which could click through your website and bring sales. The Sports Circus provides great content featuring celebrity guests from sports and entertainment to our audience every weekday, which your company could greatly benefit from by increasing your visibility, foot traffic, eyeballs to your website, and calls from potential customers. Call us right now at
714-948-0100. Again, 714-948-0100.
Or email us at info@thesportscircus.com. That's info@thesportscircus.com. Drive your sales today by advertising with the Sports Circus.
Do you know someone with a drug or alcohol problem? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything. Stop the drug and alcohol nightmare. Are drug and alcohol problems hitting you too close to home? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything.
800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. That's 800-831-1560.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. Beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. Beepinautos.com. BEEPIN autos.com. Beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UppercutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes are the best in the business. Even their Prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UppercutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UppercutChops.com delivers all natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door. store without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average at best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at uppercutchops.com or call 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. Or make your selection directly at uppercutchops.com.
Excellent.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm Roy Firestone. Now it's time to throw it back to Sal.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. This segment brought to you in part by our friends over at the College of Southern Nevada Athletics. Check them out at csncoyotes.com for upcoming games and events. That's the College of Southern Nevada Athletics, csncoyotes.com. Check them out, folks. All right, welcome back to everybody listening in on radio and television and streaming and so forth. Big welcome back to our friends over in Atlanta waking up with us, listening in on WDJY 99.1 FM right down the road. Later in the day, 7 p.m., Monday through Friday, listening in. Everybody from Montgomery, Alabama, through Auburn, Alabama, all the way to Columbus, Georgia on WAUD, home of the Atlanta Braves, 1230 on the AM dial. Hello to our friends up and down the Midwest, all the way out to the West Coast, those driving between sunny Southern California and right here in Las Vegas along Interstate 15, listening in on Highway Country Radio 101.5 FM and 107.3 FM. Thanks for joining us there. That's, of course, home of the Vegas Golden Knights, the Raiders, and the Sports Circus at 7 p.m. Monday through Friday. Up and down the West Coast, up to Alaska, down to Honolulu, CBS Sports 1500 KHK. That's home of the 49ers, Yankees, and the Alabama Crimson Tide. And, of course, all those watching Cox, Comcast Spectrum, Frontier, Oceanic, Time Warner, Spectrum, Wild Charter, independent cable affiliates from coast to coast in select markets, Hotel TV. In select markets, I guess. No, actually, it's coast to coast where applicable. And, of course, everybody on Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. Check that out, folks. Chicago Food Favorites, fun group. Talk about your favorite foods, favorite restaurants, favorite recipes. Make some friends. Have some fun. Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. All right. Now, shifting over to the AFC, looking at the picture here. Again, we're about 13 games into the season. So, literally, just a handful of games left. Things have really taken shape at this point. In the AFC, really, the playoff contenders have risen, and the pretenders, well, we know the pretenders are. And so, you're going to have your division winners, and then you're going to have a couple of these wild card teams. And right now, the wild card is looking like it's going to be the Buffalo Bills and potentially the Houston Texans. Now, they have a tiebreaker, which could change things. The Texans and Colts are both 8-5, Chargers 9-4. But let's get back to the AFC East for a second, because right now it's the Patriots and Bills, but the Patriots hold a 2-game lead on the Bills. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe this is the case, and I do believe it is the Bills traveling to New England to play the Patriots. So I'm going to hit the scores here. I'm going to tell you right away, NFL. Okay, so looking here, yep, there it is. It's the Bills. That is a 10 a.m. Pacific time or 1 p.m. Eastern time game. So that one really shapes up to be one hell of a game. So you've got the Patriots, believe it or not, with actually better numbers on defense, better numbers across the board, and significantly better numbers. And the Patriots have given up 52 less points. 52. So you take that, divided by 13, and you're coming up with over a field goal difference. The Patriots are just playing good ball. They've won their last 10 games. And the Bills, it seems like they don't really start playing consistent ball until the weather gets bad. Now, I've got the Bills as my fantasy football defense, and my other fantasy football defense, I'm actually playing ahead of them, which is the Denver Broncos. So I got lucky. I didn't really get lucky. I picked those two fantasy defenses early, and that's why right now I'm on the brink of winning the fantasy football regular season, because I put defense as a priority, and I found that I had good defense, couple of good quarterbacks, Mahomes and Caleb Williams, one good running back, wide receivers very mediocre, and a good tight end. So I found that formula worked for me, and I've done very well. I won the league last year for the three-ring circus. That's for the sports circus and fantasy football. I'm only sharing this with you because it's a different strategy. Of course, my draft grade, I think, let's see if I can say that again. My draft grade after doing this draft on Yahoo, because that's where we play it, I got a D+ on my grade. That's right, a D+. But guess what? I'm right there at the first place marker. And the point is, there are better ways sometimes to attack your fantasy football teams. And same thing with fantasy baseball as well. You just can't think like everybody else. You're going to have to zig when everybody else is zagging. And so, again, I took the Buffalo Bills defense. But now this week, I had to say, I'm going to play, let's see, who the heck did I play for my defense? I'll tell you right now. So my defense, I'm playing, it's all right, I'm leaving the Buffalo Bills out there, hoping for a snowstorm. And I sat the Denver defense because they are at home against Green Bay, and Green Bay tends to score some points. Now, New England does too, but I'm banking on bad weather, and I'm going to wait till the very last moment, and I'm going to base it on if there's a blizzard up in the greater Boston area in Foxborough, Mass. If not, then I'll switch it to the Denver game and take my chances there because Denver happens to be at home. So if there's a snowstorm there, then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to switch it to Denver. These are the kind of things you have to do for fantasy football. But back to the AFC East. I mean, look, the Dolphins are still competing. Look, they've won their last 4, and they're 6-7 right now. So technically, they can finish 10-7. They need some help, but believe it or not, they could actually eke their way somehow crazily into the playoffs. Now, the Ravens have the same possibility. Over in the AFC North, it's the Steelers sitting one game ahead of the Ravens. And I know they still have to play yet again. And if I'm not mistaken, that game may happen in 2 weeks. Either way, the Steelers right now, again, they're one of those teams. They've given up a field goal more than they've scored. They're very even across the board. 7-6, just above 500. 3 points less scored, 4-3 at home, 3-3 on the road. They're not setting the world afire, but they are playing decent football. The Ravens are starting to come back, but they lost their last 2 games. Just when you thought they were out of the weeds, no, they're not out of the weeds. Those guys are 6-7. They need a little bit of help, but that help is going to come from within. Now, the Bengals, forget it. You're 4-9. You might as well just tank the balance of the season, call it a day, sit Joe Burrow down, let him get healthy, because the best you could do is finish 8-9, and that's not going to be a playoff team. It isn't. Now, Browns, you have the same problem. You're at 3-10. You're on the toilet. Now, over in the AFC South, which I'm finding this one as a very, very good division. So the Jaguar team that we're seeing right now, they're 9-4. These are the guys, and I keep saying this, these are the guys that were drafted around Trevor Lawrence. This is the team they had envisioned when they brought him in and ETN from Clemson. They got some other good players in there. They let some of them go because they had injury problems, but now it's the Jags as we thought we would see. This is a very, very good team on the road, at home. They're 5-2 at home, 4-2 on the road. They've won their last 4. They're looking real good right now. And the Texans are starting to play just as we thought they would. And the Texans clearly have the best defense in the AFC. As a matter of fact, I'm going to look at the NFC as well. I believe they have the best defense in football right now, which they do. That's right, even ahead of the Denver Broncos. The Denver Broncos, a good squad, but it's the Texans. They've actually given up 4 touchdowns less than the Denver Broncos. That's pretty damn good. So those guys, boy, when they're clicking, remember, what did they do? They went and got themselves an enhanced running game. They've got good wideouts. They've got a good tight end, a really good defense. Houston is a handful, and they are going to be a very, very tough out. They will make the playoffs. I just don't know where they're going to end up. But Houston right now, 8-5, they're looking real good. And if you look at in the grand scheme of things of their lineup, I mean, who do they have to play? And so as we look at the NFL schedule. You say, well, geez, the Jaguars are going to win their next game on Sunday, and that's against the Jets. That'll be an easy one for them. And then who do they have after that? Well, let's take a quick look, because the Jags are then going to play on Sunday night at Denver. Now, that's going to be a really, really tall order there. I can't imagine them going to win. In Week 17, it's the Jags. They are playing, give me a second here. They are playing at the Colts. Now, the Colts, which, of course, this is remarkably laughable in my opinion. How the hell do you go sign a 44-year-old guy? And I just don't get it. I mean, Phillip Rivers still is going to have to learn the playbook, but he's also probably not in game shape. I mean, how do you get in game shape so quickly? You don't. Because there's game shape and then there's game speed. Now, you go back and listen to a show we did with the great Kevin Green. Rest his soul. Kevin Green's show, not only was it one of the most entertaining shows with Kevin and Tyrone Poole, we had a lot of fun on that show, but Kevin even said that the coaches got mad at him. They said, hey, man, you're going to have to dial it down at practice. He goes, well, look, if you're going to expect to play on game speed, on game day speed, you're going to have to practice game day speed during the week or on Thursday, so you're ready to play game day speed on game day. So I kind of paraphrased it, but that is essentially what he said. And you go back and listen to one of the shows with Kevin Green. He was a great guy. We really miss him. But at the same time, the feedback was good. So I don't think Phillip Rivers is going to come in and have this enormous impact. Is how many kids are going to go watch his game. The over and under, last I checked, believe it or not, was 4.5. All right, back here in a few minutes, going to finish up with the AFC West, go to some odds, and take her from there. We're going to probably hit up college football and get into a little bit of scandal. Don't go anywhere. Lots more to come here on the Sports Circus.
If I was your mother and you had a drug problem, I'd grab you by the ear and make you call and get help. You can be in treatment tomorrow and start to get clean in 7 days. Follow Mom's advice and call the Detox and Treatment Helpline now. Write this number down.
800-814-8628. 800-814-8628. 800-814-8628. That's 800-814-8628.
Are you or someone you love struggling with an addiction to drugs or alcohol and want to be set free from the chains of addiction? Then call Addiction Helpline America right now to get the help you need. From drug and alcohol addiction to dual diagnosis treatment, we provide a confidential helpline to help people like you get sober and live happy, substance-free lives.
Treatment helped me get my life back. I was so addicted, the only person I could focus on was myself and what I needed. I hit rock bottom and lost everything. Through treatment, I was able to overcome those demons and focus on my family again.
I used until I overdosed and almost died. That was the end of the road for me. After seeking treatment, I now have hope. I learned skills that help me deal with life on life's terms.
800-426-4994. 800-426-4994. 800-426-4994. That's 800-426-4994.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. beepinautos.com. BEEPIN autos.com. beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.
Investors, keep listening to learn how to get your free gold report. A currency crisis is upon us. The U.S. dollar has been the world's reserve currency for over 50 years, but that is changing. It's time to protect your retirement. Decades of reckless borrowing and spending have critically weakened the dollar. The U.S. has become the world's biggest debtor with over $35 trillion in debt. Plus, the dollar's become weaponized. Countries are dumping it. Investors Investors who wait until it's too late could lose big. There is one safe haven, gold. Diversify your portfolio with a physical asset they can't take away. Call the Reagan Gold Group right now and ask for your free gold guide. Here's our number.
800-876-7041. 800-876-7041. 800-876-7041. That's 800-876-7041.
Hey everyone, Dave Jackson here, ESPN rules analyst on ESPN Hockey, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. Welcome back to everybody on TV and radio. You know who you are. By the way, in case you missed the top of the show announcement, there was one for our friends over at Vacation Buddies, giving away a couple of nights right here in Las Vegas, Orlando, Florida, or in Branson, Missouri, if you know the answer to a simple trivia question. If so, call the number afterwards and claim your 2 free nights in Las Vegas, Orlando, Florida, or in Branson, Missouri. Here's the question. Which of these 4 superstars from the NBA won 6 NBA titles? Was it A, Magic Johnson? Was it 2, Shaquille O'Neal? Was it 3, Larry Bird? Or was it 4, Michael Jordan? If you know the answer, call 888-576-5777, 888-576-5777. Vacation Buddies is not affiliated with the station, but they want to give you a couple of nights right here in Vegas, Orlando, or Branson, Missouri. If you know the answer to that easy trivia question, 888-576-5777. Call now. All right. Well, by the way, make sure you check out the partners at thesportscircus.com. Lots of great partners over there. All of our upcoming shows are there as well, our special guests and whatnot. Some of those partners range from Blue Oyster Cult, the music of legendary rock band Blue Oyster Cult, to the country music rising star of Jason Owens. Check him out at jasonowensmusic.com, to Al's Number 1 Italian Beef, 1079 West Taylor Street in Chicago's Little Italy. Lots of great partners over there. And you know what? Check them out, folks. Go to thesportscircus.com, hit the partners page, and read all about them. And hey, even if you go to the store at thesportscircus.com, click on that tab, you get an extra 10% off of anything that you pick up, all your holiday gifts and whatnot. Guess what? Go shopping at thesportscircus.com. All right. Now that we got those shameless plugs out of the way, let's get back into the National Football League. And I want to talk real quick about the AFC West. The AFC West has the Broncos 2 games ahead of the Chargers, essentially with 4 games left in the season to play. The Chiefs, believe it or not, are 6-7. That's right, 6 wins against 7 losses. Seems like the Chiefs just can't do anything on the road. Who knows? Maybe the money has them going out of the season, or better yet, not in the postseason this year, and maybe they've got them winning the Super Bowl next year. Who the hell knows? I mean, all of this stuff, you never know. It could be compromised, it may not be, whatnot. I think it's compromised myself. I think it's just for entertainment purposes only. And it's a little disheartening to think that, but it just seems like this is what the National Football League has come to. Now, real quick, we're going to mention these odds because we have to mention the odds. And some of the people listening to this program will get this before the games, and some of them will hear it afterwards. So just compare and contrast what you got. And we had the Atlanta Falcons going into Tampa Bay with a win there, and they won 29-28. That was one hell of a game as far as the betting world goes.
Show me the money!
Right. But nonetheless, moving on, the Raiders have a game in Philadelphia, but first I want to mention that Houston Texans and the Cardinals game. Now, that will be one hell of a game. When you look at that game, you ask yourself a lot of questions. there are a lot of questions. Yeah, that's a Sunday morning game, right? Whatever. But the point is, if you look at the Cardinals, they are the one team that could give anybody, any club, fits, because that record that they have, that 3-win record against 10 losses, is not as bad as you may think. And so don't sleep on the Cardinals covering the 9.5 to 10 points. MGM's got them at plus 9.5. Caesars does. Hard Rock does. It's 9.5 across the board. Tell you what, if I can find it at 10, I'll take the Cardinals at 10. I think the Texans win the game, but the Cardinals have kept it close. They are the one-score losing team, seemingly more than anybody else in the National Football League, whereas the Bears are probably the one-score winning team. I think they've won 5 games in that fashion, in 4 or 5 points or less. All right, over to the Eagles hosting the Raiders. This is a rematch of an old Super Bowl back in, I believe it was 1982, back when Ron Jaworski was the quarterback for the Eagles. We like Jaws. Jaws is a friend of the Sports Circus and a very good guy. In fact, you can check out JawsYouthPlaybook.org, and that's Jaws Youth Playbook, and that's Ron Jaworski's charity to help the kids that are at risk youth, and they are in need. So that's out of the greater Philadelphia market. Ron Jaworski's Jaws Youth Playbook. Check it out, folks. All right, now the Eagles are giving up 11.5 across the board to the Raiders. Let me tell you something, folks. I'm not a Raider guy, but the one thing I do know about the Raiders is they do play close enough football. They normally are in games. They're actually a better road team, I believe, than a home team. And the Raiders with 11.5 points, you'd think the Eagles would beat them by 2 touchdowns at least. But don't be so quick to think that one. Look at the money, follow the money. I'm not telling you which way to bet if you're a bettor. No, if you want information on that, you can subscribe at info@thesportscircus.com. info@thesportscircus.com. But the Raiders are a lot better than people may think. In fact, this is not one of the games that I'm going to be giving away to our subscribers. No, I'm just going to stay away from that one. I'm going to have some popcorn. I'm going to watch the game, and it should be a very entertaining game. All right, moving on. The Jags are hosting the hapless Jets from New Jersey, but we'll call them the New York Jets. Now, the Jags opened up minus 4.5. The line has been moved all the way to 12 at the Hard Rock. They're minus 12. And at Caesars and MGM, they're minus 13.5. So if you are betting the Jags, you may want to make your way over to Hard Rock and their portal, because you're going to lay 1.5 less over there than you would at Caesars or MGM. Now, the Browns travel to Chicago. Now, think about this, folks. The Bears open up at 7, and they're 7.5 across the board, which they should be. But the Browns play a very particular brand of defense. This isn't a terrible Browns team. It doesn't matter who the quarterback is, because I think the Cleveland Browns defense will probably score more than the Cleveland Browns offense, if you know what I mean. But the Bears haven't been doing much other than running the ball. They've been running largely, which is a good thing. So I guess the bigger question is, what does the Browns' rushing defense look like? And when you look at the Browns' rushing defense, you say, these guys are pretty good. So let's go to Browns' rushing defense, and then we're going to hit rank. Let's see where they rank in the run game, in the run defensive game. So according to the AI I just picked up, it said the Cleveland Browns have a strong run defense in 2015 or 2025, generally ranking in the top 15, around 13 to 14. So these guys are pretty good, but they actually rank better in certain categories. They don't allow that many yards allowed total for rushing. Now, the Bears are rushing for 200 plus a game, and these guys are giving up about 100. Overall defense is pretty darn good. It's a highly graded defense, and I have to tell you, I wouldn't be surprised to see the Browns really force Caleb Williams to beat them in the air. Now, that's the reason I'm talking about this in the first place. And so the Bears will probably win the game, but they'll probably win a tight game, one of those low-scoring affairs. And the weather looks like it could be a little inclement over there in Chicagoland. So look for a game that would probably be in that 18 to 15, 18 to 14 kind of a game. Some weird score, maybe a series of field goals. Who the hell knows? But it seems to me that the Bears will win the game. I just don't know if they're going to cover. Now, I did mention earlier the Bills are traveling to New England. And now who knows what's going to happen there as far as the weather report goes. It just seems like the Bills play better and better when the weather is really bad. So the Bills open up -4.5, and they're actually down to -1 at MGM and Caesars, and even Hard Rock too. They're at -1. Patriots are getting 1.5 at home. That's still pretty good. But I guess the consensus is the Bills, will probably win the game by 1 point. And that's probably what the idea is here, maybe something to the tune of 28-27. Now, the Bengals are traveling home. Yeah, it almost seems like it's a road game, but they're traveling to home to play the Ravens. That sounds funny, but listen, the Bengals are, man, defensively, they're really bad. They opened up +2.5, and they're still +2.5. Seems like all the action is really staying evenly split at that 2.5. Doesn't seem like the bettors have a lot of confidence in the Ravens on the road, and that's why the line has stayed exactly where it is. So they're saying Baltimore's going to probably win by a field goal. And remember, home field is worth 3 points. So technically, when this line opened up on a neutral field, they had the Bengals winning head-to-head. However, that's not the case here. So look, they've got the Ravens -2.5. The Ravens will probably win the game because the Bengals are a terrible team. And real quick, before we go to break, it's going to be the Chargers traveling to Kansas City. And Kansas City opened up 4.5, and now the Chiefs are -5.5. In complete desperation, they must win this game to stay alive in the division, or even for a wild card at that point. Chargers playing decent football, getting 5.5 points? How the hell do you give the Chargers any points? I'll never know. And something tells me something is stinky in Happyville in that one. That's going to be one of the games that we give away from info@thesportcircus.com if you're a subscriber. Back here in a few minutes on The Circus for the final segment. Don't go anywhere.
Show me the money!
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UpperCutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes are the best in the business. Even their Prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UpperCutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UpperCutChops.com delivers all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door, without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average and best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at UpperCutChops.com or call 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. Or make your selection directly at UpperCutChops.com.
Do you own a timeshare? Well, face the facts. You made a mistake. You made a bad purchase. A timeshare is not an investment. It's a money pit that continues forever. If you use your timeshare, that's great. But if you don't, and you want to legally get out of your contract, call my friends right now at the Timeshare Exit Hotline. They're an experienced team of lawyers who help good people like you get out of a timeshare contract that they just don't want. Don't throw away your money on maintenance fees. Use it for things you really want. We can help you end your timeshare contract and stop the money drain immediately. If you're ready to move on with your timeshare, call our team right now.
Cancel your timeshare now with a free call. 800-298-3173. 800-298-3173. 800-298-3173. That's 800-298-3173.
Owning great property is almost impossible these days. At least, that's what people keep saying. They don't know about National Premier Properties. Do you have $350 or a credit card? You can own a great piece of property in a resort community. National Premier Properties has over 51 years of experience helping people just like you purchase amazing properties across the U.S. and in Mexico, Canada, the Bahamas. It takes less than 5 minutes to turn your dream into reality. Visit nationalpremierproperties.com and make it happen now.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. Beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. Beepinautos.com. BEEPIN autos.com. Beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.
Excellent.
Hey everybody, this is Brian Urlacher. Welcome back to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. Again, folks, make sure you check out the store at thesportscircus.com. Lots of great gift ideas over there. And that is the center tab. If you go to thesportscircus.com, you'll see it says store. Check out the hats, hoodies, t-shirts, sweat coats, sweatpants, and coffee mugs, travel mugs, mouse pads, pillows, blankets, all kinds of cool stuff with the Sports Circus logo on them. So check that out, folks. That's the store at thesportscircus.com, and mention my name, Ringmaster Sal, for 10% off your first order. All right. Welcome back, Digger, everybody, again. So, leaving off with these odds, I left off with the Chargers and Chiefs. That's kind of an intriguing game. And it's for a lot of reasons, because the Chargers can solidify their position. They could technically knock Kansas City out of the potential playoff picture, because right now it's looking pretty bleak. And frankly, I think the best they could do was finish 10-7, being the Chiefs. They can finish 10-7, and that's not very good. That's almost not good enough for a playoff spot anyway. However, with a little bit of help, you never know. So, moving on to East Rutherford, New Jersey, where the Commanders opened up -4.5. That line has swung. All the money has went on the Giants. That line now is the Giants -2.5. That's a 6-point swing. That's a lot of money that's gone on the New York Football Giants. And let's face it, right now at -2.5, that's still a field goal. If you win 27-24 or 24-21 or something to that effect, guess what? You got yourself a winner because you covered the 2.5. That one looks pretty interesting, and not really sure which way that one's going to go. That's another one. I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not even going to give it away on the subscriber list. It's just one of those ones that I tend to stay away from the Giants at home because you never know which team you're going to get. How about this one? How about Seattle is hosting the Colts and Phillip Rivers? So Seattle opens up -3.5. The line skyrockets to -13.5. That's a 10-point swing against a team that's one game out of first place, and it's all quarterback driven. So it seems like the Colts are basically going to put a German Shepherd back there at the quarterback position, and we'll see what he can do. It tells me that this dog might be a little bit old and he can't run so fast. So I think Seattle's going to have their way with the Colts, and I don't see how Seattle doesn't beat this team at least 31-14 or something to the effect. I can't see the Colts doing a whole hell of a lot on offense. Defensively, they're going to be playing in a house that's technically one of the noisiest in the league anyway. Colts are going to be in big trouble, and there's a lot of weather up there in Seattle anyway. Now, moving on to Denver, where there might be something going from the weather side over to the Rocky Mountains, and it was Denver opens up -1.5, and now Denver is a +2.5 dog at MGM and at Caesars Palace. So that line moved 3.5 points. So you ask yourself, are the Packers good enough at home? The Packers are -2.5 at Caesars right now. And I'm not so sure that game won't end up 16-14. And I don't even know who's going to win that one. If it is a blizzard and if it's disastrous, I look for Denver's defense to find themselves in the winner's circle in this game and help out the Chicago Bears. But I also believe that both the Bears and the Packers are going to do the exact same thing. Either they're both going to win or they're both going to lose, making sure that that game next week is going to be for the lead in the division. So there's no more tiebreaker. Now it's just the record, meaning they both would have won one game each against each other. Moving on, the Panthers, the first place Panthers, travel to the last place New Orleans Saints. Panthers open up -1.5, and now they're -2.5 across the board. And if history repeats itself, you'll probably see the Saints come back and win this game at the very end. And the Saints are not a good team, but they're not completely horrible either. And the Panthers are basically just a big play team. That's how they get their W's, as I see it. Nonetheless, I like the Saints. In fact, I see they're actually +3 at another one of these venues here. So I would take the Saints +3 if I could get them. Now, probably one of the most entertaining games of the day is going to be the Detroit Lions traveling to the LA Rams. Now, the Rams have been playing really good ball. So Detroit opened up -1.5 on the road, and now it's the Rams -6. That's a 7.5 point swing in that line. And I just happen to believe that the Lions don't play very well on the road. And what it is also is the Lions they don't seem to have any defense. I don't know what it is. I mean, some games they show up. Most games they don't seem to show up. They try to just do the minimum of what they can. But the Rams are arguably one of the best teams in the NFL right now. And everybody's sleeping on the Rams, and the Rams are absolutely loaded. Remember, those two teams, the Lions and the Rams, they swapped their quarterbacks out a handful of years ago, and guess what? It was the Rams winning the Super Bowl, and Jared Goff is still trying to find his way in the winner's circle into a Super Bowl, and Detroit's just trying to get to a Super Bowl. So the Rams, -6 at MGM, -6 at Hard Rock, -6 at Caesars. I don't know. I think that's going to be the last team with the ball wins that one. The question is it going to be a touchdown? And that's how that one's going to be settled. Now, here's two teams going in opposite directions. The Titans are traveling to San Francisco, and this looks like an NFL team is going to play a high school team. So here the Niners open up -7.5, and I thought that was a very generous opening line. And now the line's up to 12.5, 13 at Hard Rock. And the Niners should win this game 50-0. I don't even see how Tennessee could even score a touchdown. If they do, it's going to be on the ground with Pollard. I don't see how they do anything. These guys are really, really bad. This is an example of some of the worst football in the NFL. Moving on, speaking of bad defense, let's go to Dallas, because the Cowboys, they opened up +1.5 against the Vikings, and now the Cowboys are -6 at MGM, 5.5 at Caesars and Hard Rock. How the hell are the Cowboys favored over anybody? I'll never know. With the healthy J.J. McCarthy, the Vikings can score, and they can score in bunches. And we know the Cowboys have the worst defense in the NFC. And the only team worse than them in the entire league is the Buffalo Bills. So Dallas is the worst. And this is an old classic matchup of old NFC championship games from back in the 70s. And there's a lot of pride on the line between these two squads. Look for a very close game in this one. And I think Minnesota's going to win this one and basically set the Cowboys back much further while Philadelphia wins their game. And now the Cowboys are going to be another game behind Philadelphia. All right. In a very, I'm going to say this could be a lopsided one-way game, but the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to host the Miami Dolphins. The problem with the Dolphins is we just don't know which team's going to show up, although they have won their last few games. So line opened up -2.5 Pittsburgh, and it's -3 across the board. So not much action on this. The bettors don't have a lot of confidence, and frankly, it seems like the odds makers didn't have a lot of confidence in this either. Otherwise, if they did, the word would have got out. There would have been a lot more going on in that discussion between these two teams. I got a feeling that the Miami Dolphins are going to win this game. I like the Dolphins in this game. I do like Tua. And remember, Tua's missing Tyreek Hill. He's been missing him all year. So he's missing one of the top receivers in the entire National Football League. But they're still playing good football. And they're not out of it yet. No, they're not out of it. Think about this. If Buffalo beats New England, that's not good for Miami because Buffalo is just ahead of Miami. So that's what I meant to say. So if Buffalo loses, that's what Miami needs. So they need the division leader to win the game. But if the Dolphins win and the Bills lose, that tightens up real quick. So don't be so quick to count out the Miami Dolphins. They are going to play a cold weather game in Pittsburgh. But then again, most of these guys, you got to remember, where's the recruiting come from? It comes from either the Big Ten, which now is coast to coast, or it comes largely from the SEC. And so you have a couple of colder weather schools, I suppose, or that can play in cold weather in the SEC. But most of these guys are not the West Coast guys from yesteryear, which are not used to playing in the cold. No, these guys can play in cold weather. So don't count the Miami Dolphins out of this game just yet. So, and it was the same idea saying, well, the Atlanta Falcons, they were getting 6 points against the Buccaneers, which I said, take the points. You've got the top running back in football. How do you not take the Atlanta Falcons with 6 points? That made all the sense in the world to me. So I'm still not convinced that Baker Mayfield's arm has been restored. When I saw him throw that pass on, I think it was a Sunday night game a few weeks ago, I said, man, that guy threw his arm out because he really reared back and threw the ball. He tried to throw the ball 60-plus yards into an end zone on a Hail Mary. But watching him, it looked like he threw his arm out. And if you played a sport, a throwing sport, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about, whether it's baseball or football. You know when something happens in the shoulder. And it looked like he was going to be out for the entire season or the balance of the season. But Baker's out there playing. Now, he's a gamer. I'll guarantee this guy's playing injured. He's just not talking about it. But he's sitting a game out of first place. That's all it is. So really, the Bucs need Carolina to lose, which, well, I don't think that's going to happen. But then again, I do think it's going to happen. The bettors are going to have a say in this one because it just seems to be whichever way the money wants them to go. Remember, it's the Carolina Panthers traveling to New Orleans. I happen to think New Orleans is going to win the game. So what that does is that keeps the Bucs exactly where they're at. And that makes a little bit more sense to me. But then again, what do I know? Because as far as I see it, it's all about which way the money goes. And I follow the money with my picks. That's how I make all my picks. I don't give a damn about the weather reports. Fantasy football stuff, I do. Because we're looking to pile up points with players. But when it comes to betting on the games and prognosticating these games, this is all about money flow, in my opinion. Which way the money's flowing, what does the money want? Because the money usually gets what it wants.
Show me the money!
That's right. And if you don't believe that, you better look at the NFL charter. Find out what the NFL charter says. As last I understood, the NFL is, in its mission statement, it is an entertainment company. That's right, an entertainment company. That's how you have to look at this, folks. I think the games are absolutely compromised, and even the college football games are as well, sadly as it seems. That's going to do it for the circus today. I'm your Ringmaster Sal. We'll see you in about, 23 hours. So until then, stay safe, sleep well, drive well, do whatever you're doing, and we'll see you then right here on your favorite station. So long, everyone.
What's up, Doc?
Oh, Norman. Don't call me Norman. Call me Chubsy Ubsy.
What does he think I am, an imbecile?
Owning great property is almost impossible these days. At least, that's what people keep saying. They don't know about National Premier Properties. Do you have $350 or a credit card? You can own a great piece of property in a resort community. National Premier Properties has over 51 years of experience helping people just like you purchase amazing properties across the U.S. and in Mexico, Canada, the Bahamas. It takes less than 5 minutes to turn your dream into reality. Visit nationalpremierproperties.com and make it happen now.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. Beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. Beepinautos.com. B-E-E-P-I-N autos.com. Beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.